Things as they are, should I take off my hat? And never better said, with the live action of One Piece. It's not because it was perfect or surpassed the original work, none of that. But because I myself didn't give a penny for this adaptation, I always remained extremely skeptical. Assuming that, just like all the other anime live actions, it would indeed be a total crap. Although the live action isn't perfect, which was expected, it's unfeasible for a live action to be perfect. I must say that it incredibly surprised me in a good way. Despite some minor criticisms, my overall impression is extremely positive. I marathoned this live-action series on its release day yesterday and felt super happy afterwards. I even announced it on Twitter and showed how gory I was gonna get in just one afternoon. I must admit that I spent the entire viewing time annoying my Twitter followers, commenting on things about the series. But, well, have you had to put up with me, guys? It is what it is. Okay, first of all, what do I think were the key factors behind the success of this live action? The first aspect is obvious. Behind this series, there is a team of people who clearly took the trouble to review the material they were going to adapt. Mentioning this as a positive seems absurd, but considering past live-action adaptations like Dragon Ball Evolution, it's worth noting. Ultimately, it's crucial to understand what exactly you're adapting. And here it's noticeable that those who were writing and directing all this mess knew enough about One Piece. The second aspect is Oda's supervision, which is a very good point. The original author has been quite involved with this live action, and that has greatly helped it to work much better. We will never know how much involvement Oda really had in the live action. The manga's publication pause coinciding with the series release suggests significant adaptation. Then, the third aspect, and what makes everything really magical, is the damn cast. The actors have managed to find actors and characterize them perfectly. Do you really feel like they are the damn Mugiwaras? The rest are very good, like everyone else. Highlighting, for example, Garp, who seemed perfect to me, and Mihawk, who looked weird in the trailers, but my god. His introduction scene eating up Don Krieg's band while talking to Garp on Den de Musi God. Mihawk looked terrifying and imposing, but very super creepy. It completely changed my opinion of him. These three aspects: knowledge about the series, author's implication, and total success with the cast of characters, is what makes live action work. It's simple math, and that, you see. You can tell that the budget of this series, although you can see it's there, can't be very high. I say this because of the quality of the effects, which is where it slacks off a little bit. Fortunately, I feel it's quite disguised, except for a couple of scenes where the computer-generated imagery does look poorer. But look, everything has been so good and immersive that the issue with the effects can be overlooked, and that's the thing. The setting is very well done. They've managed to create the feeling of the One Piece world in real life, which initially seemed quite complicated. They have chosen to remove bright and vibrant colors and put more muted colors, a great filter. A much more subdued feeling, but realistic, and at the same time, it does not clash with the tone of the series. With each episode lasting 50-60 minutes, the 8-episode series covering the beginning to the end of Arlong Park is quite well condensed in terms of duration. I feared they would skip too much, and while understandably not everything would be included or fit, I was still concerned. The most crucial aspect and what fans enjoy most has been preserved. Personally, I haven't missed anything too much that wasn't in the original work. Sanji's farewell with Zeph could have been more emotionally impactful, like in the manga where one character breaks down in tears, but as I was saying, considering the duration of the episodes, it would be about 24 anime episodes as they're 20 minutes each. So 24 episodes to complete the series. In Arlong Park, I think it's pretty well measured. As for the story, everything starts with the execution of Cole Roger. As expected, the execution was spectacular, and just as it was. As it should be, Roger's death marks the beginning of the greatest era of piracy the world has ever known. The One Piece. That unattainable treasure that makes hundreds and thousands of people regain the light in their eyes and set out to sea in search of their dreams. After showing this, we move to the present, where we meet Luffy before he gets into that barrel on the ship where Kobe was. The beginning happens very much as we know it. There isn't much explanation. We see Luffy and Kobe interact, both doing it extremely well. And then, parallel to this, we have Zoro, who, as it couldn't be otherwise, is the first enemy. Indeed, he is a black man. Obviously, Zoro couldn't be any other way. I believe they are aware of the meme because, wow, what a coincidence. The point is that this guy Zoro is dealing with. He is Mr. 7, a member of Baroque Works, but perhaps he's not as weak as he seems. Zoro is among the most powerful monsters in Liz Blue, the Weakest Sea. Before I forget, I want to comment on Zoro. If there's something I didn't like about him, it's that he seems too serious to me. Too much like the current Zoro, when in the early arcs he was a serious guy but quite fun and expressive. It's not bad, but I miss the funny Zoro. Luffy is motivated by Alvida's fart and heads to Morgan's Island. This Navy dude, who is very bad, is in control. We also meet Helmeppo, who is indeed as cringe as he should be, totally unbearable. Initially, Zoro is tied up in the yard as anticipated, and Luffy comes to his aid. In this version, Zoro eats the girl's food in a bar instead of being tied to a post in the yard. In the end, decisions that I really don't think will have much impact. Luffy frees Zoro, and they encounter Nami, ultimately battling against Morgan. After this, Garp sets off and tries to mobilize to stop his grandson from doing foolish things, trying to save him, in his own way of seeing him. Before it's too late, after recruiting Zoro and partially Yanami, it's time for the Usopp and Kaya arc. And look, this is the one I like the least, but because I felt it was very stretched out. I don't know if any of you had that feeling, but I felt things could have moved much faster and made better use of that time. Other scenes had too many shots of Kuro walking around the mansion and the flatulent butlers. This part was overwhelming for me, although it's not the live action's fault. This part of Liz Blue was always my least favorite, even in the original work. The choice with Kaya, and especially with Kuro, was also excellent. I loved the actor and his performance. I missed that Kuro's crew was larger, Luffy lifting the ship and those really badass things, but oh well. They were replaced by some chase scenes and horror movie scenes with Kuro trying to kill Kaya. So I'm not complaining, one thing for another. Garp, seeing that he won't be able to stop his grandson by good means, decides to try to scare him. So he calls none other than Dracula. In Mihawk for what? Basically to give the boy a scare. What is he looking for? Garp? Why did Garp contact Mihawk for this job, out of all the Ukas and Shibukai? Simply because Garp knows that first, Mihawk is respectable and honorable, second, he is reliable, and third, he is not a bad guy at all. Mihawk ensures Luffy won't be fatally injured. His introduction scene is unsurpassed. Seeing the guy so calm on the battlefield trampling pirates is here. One of the first decisions I consider risky, which was not to let Don Krieg escape. In the original work, Krieg and his men managed to escape from Mihawk's miracle, reaching Baratie, but not here. In their first encounter, Mihawk effortlessly defeats them, leaving only the unnamed man who never appears again and is now depicted as black alive. Netflix has recast several anime characters with darker skin tones, like Belphai, who was already somewhat brown in the original. Everyone can interpret it as they wish. To me, it's just amusing, nothing more. It doesn't affect me either way. After these, we move on to one of the two main courses, one of my favorite pasts and one of my favorite parts of East Blue. The boat cheap restaurant underwent significant changes, but not necessarily for the worse. Don Krieg was never that great. They had some good interactions, but I think I'll survive without it. Mihawk comes directly looking for Luffy, but he is intercepted by Zoro, who recognizes him and wants to challenge him to proclaim himself as the best swordsman in the world. Mihawk warns him that it's not a good idea to have a death duel with him. He essentially conveys that being a renowned bounty hunter from East Blue doesn't hold much significance. Being strong among the weak only makes you weak among the strong. The world is much bigger than Zoro believes. Mihawk, surprised by Zoro's bravery or stupidity, agrees to duel the green-haired swordsman and teach him a lesson in humility. Nami spent the day trying to persuade Zoro not to do it, but she was ignored. Despite his own fears, Luffy chose to support his friend's will and dreams instead of stopping him. The duel, well, it was just as we can imagine. Though defeated, Zoro impressed Mihawk, who spared his life to allow him to improve. And at some point become an interesting or fun rival, very similar to the original work, of course. Then comes Sanji's past, and I'm not going to go into details. But damn, I cried like a fucking kid. I cried twice with this live action. I didn't expect it at all, but I did get emotional. One was here when Zeph explains to Sanji that he wanted to save him so that he could continue. With the dream of finding the All Blue, and then with Nami asking Luffy for help. Interestingly, I didn't get as emotional with this scene when I first saw it in the anime. While it moved me, I didn't cry. Could nostalgia also be wreaking havoc out there? Possibly, I don't know. Damn, I feel that One Piece used to know how to move people in a magical way. And here, friends, I want to put on the handbrake because I want to address the point that I like the least about the entire adaptation. And that is Arlong's timeline, which I will now explain to you. One of Luffy's strengths at Arlong Park was that he sought out Arlong, catching him off guard. That Arlong was totally crazy to see that a pirate was looking for him with apparently hostile intentions. I thought it was a super original way to face the antagonist of the arc. In the live action, they've turned it into a more generic arc, where the villain Arlong goes to confront Luffy himself. They have a first confrontation, where Luffy is defeated, and then, in round 2, Luffy emerges victorious. Honestly, I liked the original scheme better. As I say, it seemed more unique and more special to me. Portraying Luffy as a savior who suddenly appeared to rescue the impoverished residents of the island oppressed by Arlong. Now, well, it's cool, but it's not the same. Following Arlong's defeat, the most notorious pirate in East Blue, Garp accepts that his grandson won't relent. So he encourages the creation of a bounty poster against Luffy, in this case 30 million. The character's interaction with the bounty posters is very well done. It's clear that the team behind the live action knows that we fans like these damn little posters. And breaking the fourth wall is a great touch. In the end, in the post-credits, you can see Smooker and some more details of what's to come. I have no doubt that it will come. Many right now must be foaming at the mouth. BB Belfi, where is Boogie, damn bastard? I intentionally left it for the end, so you'd think I forgot. Boogie is ruthless and hilarious, a complete idiot. It hasn't been my favorite. I also don't know if it is for the general public, but for me, even though it is in my top 5 characters, it's not my favorite. The actor revives her with the roles of Boo and the Clown, proving himself worthy of being the future Pirate King. And the funny thing here in this matter is that despite the plot of the live action being so good, this is just the introduction. One Piece has one of the best first arcs among shonen manga, despite claims of a bad start. Despite potential anime and filler content from Toei making the series heavy at times, it's unfair to claim they are bad. Wouldn't many other animes like to have introductory arcs, like the East Blue? Honestly, that's why I tell you that if you like this, get ready for what's coming, which is much better. No spoilers given, in case you're new to One Piece through the live action. It's unclear if that will be common, but better safe than sorry. Ace dies.